Another live Monday, January 16th, 2023. Just chatting. Just got off a pre-event call, as we say in the business. Or as I say in the business, at least right now. Had a call for an event in Oregon coming up with the RMLS, which is the biggest MLS in the Northwest, realtor owned. Fantastic chat with a couple of folks from there. It's always good when those go well and fun. Hello, Samantha. And oh, hey, it's Sugar. What's up, my old friend? And Mr. Warner, all the people are here today. Good to see you, Mike. I've known Sugar longer than most people I've known online. I don't even know when we go back to. I'm trying to think. 09, maybe? I think. Anyways, I always love following along with what you're doing, Sugar. Keep going. And Mike and Samantha, hello, everybody. Yes, we just did a call. And so when you book an event, a lot of times the event wants to do a pre-call. Kind of just talk about the event and kind of go over a few things. So I take notes. Sometimes the events go 4 or 5 lines. Sometimes they go 10 lines. So you just kind of take it all down. Yeah, I think so. It's got to be 08, 09, I think. Hello, Heather, and congratulations to your husband on the new job. That kills. Congrats. Aztec, speaking of people I've known for a long time. What's up, Aztec? And the only one usually that comes to see me on Twitch. I have a Twitch viewer. Somebody tell my kids. Because I feel cool. I always see one of the 7. Always. Original member of the 7. Amazing. Yeah, so we do these calls and kind of just gives the idea. Now, people ask me too about, do I reuse material? Do I start from scratch for every event? And up to a while ago, probably 5-6 years ago, I had no idea people made brand new talks for every talk they did. Crazy. What's up, Tim? Like, I had no idea. Now, I understand if you're presenting research or you're presenting, very unique things for that audience, that it's going to be custom, like fully. But for me, for keynotes, one of the things it's about storytelling. And so I tell stories that I've told, usually. There's always a first time telling them. Sometimes that'll be the book. So kind of how it works for us, especially before COVID, is we have the show, the podcast, and we collected stories for that resonated. A lot of times it was negative stories, but whatever resonated, we keep a running list going. And it's all these, so every show we look over 4 or 5 different stories. And then that collection, the ones that make the cut from that would end up in the books. Like for UnBranding, it was actually 100 stories. 100 stories that we covered on the show, pretty much. And then some of them make it into the book, and then a few of those make it into the talks. Because the talks, we only have time for a few stories. Like in an hour keynote, you have time for 4? 3? And the whole point of a story is to, make them open to hearing what the point is. Really. It's really what storytelling does all the time. Arpit Kumar, let me know if I said that correctly, and hello to you. Aztec, I still think of you every time I walk past girls going into a Buc-ee's. I'm telling you, any store that has smokers and grills and barbecues as impulse buys in front of the store, it's epic. It's an epic store. So yeah, that's one of the things with stories. If you do talks or you want to put stories into your talks, is you want to keep telling them. And one of the things that will happen with that is it's your reps, and it just becomes easier to tell the story. Because when you're not thinking of where you're going next with the story, you're actually listening to it more, if that makes sense. Because you can change your pacing on it. You can add or subtract from the story itself. The goal with the story is not to be longer than it needs to be, but long enough to get the point across. And that's through reps on stage, which works for me. Same thing. And I think, like, for PowerPoint for me, I think I've saved as or changed the same file for 12 years. Now there's 500 talks and 500 slide decks in there, but it creates from that. And then a section can come out, you put a different section in. So for this real estate one, it's real estate. So I have almost a full-on its own real estate talk, but it's more also leadership. So we're working on a hybrid of that. John, I'll get to you in 1 second. Samantha says, what are some of your favorite stories to tell? It's the ones that resonate, honestly. Like, you know, a story for me that really hits it out of the park is one that has people laughing, but also thinking. I love the laughs. I'm a sucker for the laughs. It's intoxicating on stage if you can make people laugh. But it can't just be funny. Like, you can have just funny parts or jokes, but there's got to be a point. I'm not hired to be a comedian. I'm hired to be a speaker who's funny but has a point. And that's not to say comedians don't have a point, depending on, you know, which comedian you look at. So for me, it's the stories I love telling are the ones that are still in the talk. A lot of times, like the Josh E. Ritz-Carlton story I have, where they did a photo shoot with the stuffed animal that a child left there. But I honestly love telling stories that are feel-good ones, even though 90% of the stories that we've told in our history are bad businesses. Especially these days. A story with a good moral, a good takeaway, something that feels good is nice, especially today. But the funny ones are always the best ones for me. Hey, John, I tweeted you from my new Web3 photography Twitter account. It's like OG when it started Twitter. It's nice with good morning each day. Yeah, I also kind of don't understand it, which is cool. I'm actually just kind of getting out of most social. So I love it that you're doing it. But I'm almost totally gone from Twitter at this point, and gone from Facebook or Meta or whatever it's called. And I'm mostly sticking to the old LinkedIn at this point. So yeah. Samantha says, I love the Joshie story. I have used it in a couple trainings I've done after hearing it in one of your talks. Oh, thank you. Yeah, the Hearn family. Great story. Love the story. It's such a way to show the impact that your people have on the stories of the brands. And it's almost always either frontline or backline people, which is, you know, frontline people dealing with customers, or backline, which is the bottom of the org chart behind the scenes. They're the ones with the most actions and activities. That's where the stories come from. But people don't usually listen to those, you know, that we just kind of look at these big stories. Exactly. You know, we do need the good ones. I need the good ones. You know, we become what we focused on. And the past, you know, few years hasn't been a lot of good, you know, in front of my eyes. And also I wasn't looking for it. So it's really looking at what you can control, what you put into your brain. It's also one of the reasons I left Facebook too. And I want to control where I see things and what helps and what doesn't. And so we look for some of them, you know. And sometimes the good is in a talk when you give one. Sometimes the good that you try to show them is the good in themselves. that I can come on, kind of fly off the handle and get really riled up about points, but I got to be careful because it turns into lecturing. It turns into, you don't want to demean people, but I want to be able to put the oomph behind these things by saying that we are in history now. And you can either make somebody's day or break it. And if you're in a position of power, you're their boss, you're a leader, you exponentially can make or break that day. With all these small decisions. Because it's the little things that affect people. And the big things, obviously. But it's the little things every day that erode relationships, loyalty, enthusiasm, all the things. So we need the good. Some of the good. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah. Or else I gotta go. I'm going to Iowa soon. South Dakota. Getting the old Midwest, West Coast treatment for the next while. Awesome. Except for the flights. So many less direct flights these days. All right. That's all I got for today. Thanks for hanging out with me. We're going to you bring that up every few years. I just, book an event and we'll be there. Family's good. There's 3 of us in the house now instead of 7. So it's kind of empty. That's good. Our oldest is working at Dynalon Records in Toronto. Living his dream. 3 others are living away at school. Yeah. Everybody's growing up. It's awesome. It's great. I love seeing it. I'm a huge fan of our kids. Huge fan. I love it. I just want to show up to all their things for the next 30 years. When I'm invited. Just Allison and I going to different things that they're doing everywhere. Love it. Thank you, John. Hope you're doing well as well. Speaking of people I've known for a long time online, there's another one. John. Way back. So yeah, I've never even been, by the way, South Africa. I would love to. I'd love to do a gig there. I'd love to see it. And of course, Mr. McGrath. The best looking glasses on LinkedIn, I'm telling you. I hope you were well, Aztec, and everybody who came on here. Appreciate you all. Nice seeing some of my old school people, and nice seeing some new people in here too. Thank y'all. Like I said before, we're going to look at working on eventually doing this more regularly. We'll see. Got a couple talks with a couple brands. Potentially a show thing happening. We'll see. We shall see. Anywho, hope you're all okay. Be kind to each other. And importantly, be kind to yourself.